Let's go straight over to my next guest. He is Charlie Rae, the former royal editor of The Sun. Good afternoon, Charlie.
Good afternoon, Kevin.
Good big stories over the weekend. Strange stories, really, that Prince Harry, when he came a couple of weeks ago to attend the WellChild Awards, shortly before decamping to Germany for the Invictus Games Awards, that he'd intended to stay at Kensington Palace or possibly Windsor, one of the royal cottages, Frogmore, but was told in no uncertain terms, sorry, mate, you left it too late. You need to give us longer warning than this. You're going to be staying in a hotel. So he had to stay in a hotel. And it's now transpired that there are suggestions that Harry has the right to claim royal residence when he comes here. And this has prompted King Charles or his people to issue a denial of that. And say, well, actually, if the king doesn't want Harry to stay on royal property, he won't be staying on royal property. I think what it all points to, Charlie, is that King Charles, in line with public opinion, is determined to take a bit of a harder line with Harry.
Yes, you're absolutely right. But let's not forget as well that when Harry did come over for the WellChild Awards, the next day was the anniversary of the Queen's death, and the King had in actual fact asked Harry to come up to Balmoral, you know, as a gesture of faith, come up here and be with us, May and Camilla, you know, to mark the occasion. And Harry, being churlish as usual, decided, no, I'm not going to do that. And of course, it was right that the king said to him, well, you know, you're not getting a place at all, because, you know, we're all moved up to, the court had moved up to Balmoral, which is always does at that time of year, which Harry knows very, very well. And there was no place available. I mean, the king is definitely making a point. You know, Harry's out in the cold now, and he's starting to find out just how cold it's beginning to get. There is also a much more serious matter, and that is the fact that Harry is still a councillor of state, one of the 7 councillors of state, and he is supposed to have a residence in the UK to continue being councillor of state. Now, the king doesn't want to just axe him because that would be antagonistic. So what he's done is he has appointed last year his brother Edward and his sister Anne to become councillors of state with the other 3 members. So there's never going to come an occasion where you're going to have Harry or Prince Andrew, who's had to step down for obvious reasons, as stepping in for the king on minor royal duties.
I was mentioning earlier in the show, Charlie, that you know, to some extent, you've got to feel sympathetic towards King Charles, because, I mean, I do think that he realises the public do not want him to cave in at every occasion to his beloved son Harry. They want some consequences to the way Harry has been behaving there in America. But the difficulty Charles has is walking this tightrope, this royal tightrope, between Harry and William. So I think Charles's instinct would be to be very forgiving towards Harry, but William is whispering in his other ear, "You dare."
Well, I think you're absolutely right as well. And let's not forget, if he wanted a place at Kensington Palace, that is where William has got an apartment there, and also that's where his working office is. So I should imagine that William would not have welcomed the fact that his brother would have stepped in, you know, to Kensington Palace. I mean, William and Catherine weren't there in any case, but that's a minor point. I mean, Harry's got to realise that he is out in the cold, and I think you're right. You know, the king has, you know, he's a father, and, you know, any father, any parent does not want to have problems with their children and everything else. But there comes a point, and Harry is a prime example, if you keep slagging off your parents and you keep slagging off your stepmother and you keep slagging off your brother, then you're not going to find a very warm welcome at all at any stage.
And I mean, going forward, Charlie, I mean, I think we're at some kind of crossroads here, because, you know, all the grenades that Harry and Meghan could have thrown at the royal family have been thrown, I would suggest. So going forward, I mean, Harry clearly shows signs of wanting to revisit Britain whenever he
Sure.
can, whereas Meghan is showing signs that she never wants to step foot inside this country ever again. So I would suggest that going forward, we're going to see, when Harry does come back, just solo visits.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, I think we've discussed this before. I mean, I do not believe that Meghan will ever step foot in this country, ever again. And I think, Harry still has some links. I mean, apart from his family, he still has some links with the UK. He's got WellChild, he's got the Invictus Games, and those sort of things. And, I think, he's born in this country. He has got affection for this country. It's just things are very difficult for him, to come back. And if he does come back, I doubt very much if he'll be back with his wife or children at all. It's a great pity.
It's very sad family situation. But as they say on Love Island, it is what it is. It's a reality. Those two brothers are at war and the king has to deal with it. And William does not want a welcome in the hillside for Harry, and that, I think, is what Charlie is instigating. So it's all very sad, all very difficult, all very feudy, but we watch it, as always, with unbridled interest and fascination.